When most people think of angels, they imagine glowing beings with wings, gentle figures who bring messages of peace. But the Bible, ancient Jewish texts, and long-forgotten traditions tell us a very different story. In these hidden accounts, angels are described as mighty warriors, cosmic enforcers of God's will, beings so powerful that even Lucifer himself, the so-called Lightbringer, trembled before them. And at the center of one of the strangest, most mysterious battles in all of Scripture stands the Archangel Michael, God's champion. This is the story of what really happened when Michael confronted Lucifer over the body of Moses. And trust me, this is not the Sunday school version. This is raw, terrifying, and it reveals truths you were never supposed to hear. Before we even reach the confrontation itself, we have to step back. Why did Moses' body matter so much? Why would Lucifer, the fallen star, the accuser, even dare to claim the corpse of a prophet? You see, Moses wasn't just any man. He was the liberator of Israel, the one who had stood face to face with God on Mount Sinai, the one whose life was marked by miracles, plagues, parting seas, and divine law carved in stone. But when Moses died, something strange happened. According to the book of Deuteronomy, God himself buried Moses in a secret place in Moab, and to this very day, no man knows where his grave lies. Doesn't that sound unusual? Why would the Almighty personally take charge of a burial? Why would the location be hidden forever, unless something much greater was at stake? Then this is where the forgotten battle begins. The ancient Jewish text known as the Assumption of Moses, along with hints preserved in the New Testament letter of Jude, tell us of a cosmic dispute. Lucifer, the adversary, claimed Moses' body. Think about that. Satan himself stepping forward to demand the corpse of God's prophet. Why? Scholars argue Lucifer wanted to corrupt Moses' body, perhaps to twist it into an idol, to lead Israel into false worship, or even to weaponize Moses' body in his rebellion against God. If the Israelites had found Moses' grave, they might have turned his tomb into a shrine, worshipping the man instead of the Creator. Lucifer knew how weak human hearts can be. He knew that by seizing the body of Moses, he could twist the legacy of the greatest prophet into something dark. But Lucifer didn't expect one thing: the arrival of Michael, the Archangel. Michael is not some gentle figure with a harp. In the Bible, he is described as the warrior of heaven, the commander of angelic armies, the defender of God's people. In the book of Daniel, he is the one who rises in the last days to protect Israel. In Revelation, he is the one who leads the heavenly hosts against the dragon. And in Jude, we see a glimpse of Michael's most mysterious mission, standing against Lucifer over Moses' body. Now pause for a second and imagine this scene. The wilderness of Moab, where Moses had breathed his last, a lifeless body, destined to be hidden forever. And suddenly, the air shimmers with power. On one side, Lucifer, the fallen cherub, once adorned with jewels, his light now twisted into darkness. On the other side, Michael, the Archangel, armored in heavenly glory, a being of such terrifying authority that even demons flee at the sound of his voice. This wasn't just a debate. This was a showdown of cosmic proportions. Lucifer, the accuser, stepped forward with legal claims. He argued that Moses was a murderer. Remember, Moses had slain an Egyptian when he was younger. Lucifer, ever the lawyer of darkness, brought up every fault, every sin, every stain in Moses' life, demanding the right to his body. He killed, Lucifer would say. He disobeyed. He doubted at Meribah. He struck the rock. He does not deserve God's mercy. Can you feel the venom in those accusations? The same venom he uses against humanity every day, whispering in your ear, reminding you of your failures. That's Lucifer's weapon accusation. But Michael did not argue with him point by point. The text is very clear. Michael simply declared, "The Lord rebuke you." That's it. No back and forth. No defense of Moses' sins. Because Michael knew something Lucifer couldn't accept: that Moses, flawed though he was, belonged to God. His sins were covered, his legacy protected. And so Michael, with the authority of heaven, rebuked Lucifer and took Moses' body under divine protection. Now here's the part that will shake you. Why would an archangel with unimaginable strength not simply destroy Lucifer on the spot? Why not crush him in combat? Because Michael was not operating on personal power. He was operating on divine authority. Notice the words, "The Lord rebuke you." Michael didn't stand in his own strength. He stood as the enforcer of God's judgment. And that's why Lucifer fled. Not because Michael had bigger muscles, but because Michael carried the authority of the Almighty. That is what terrified Lucifer. That is why he couldn't touch Moses' body. Heaven had spoken, but the story doesn't end there. Ancient traditions whisper of what God did next. Some believe Moses' body was preserved for a greater purpose, foreshadowing the Transfiguration, when centuries later, Moses appeared alongside Elijah and Jesus on the mountain. Did you catch that? Moses appeared in glory. That means his body was not left to corruption. Some even suggest that Michael's battle ensured Moses would be prepared for that moment, a prophetic witness of the resurrection power of God. Imagine Lucifer's humiliation. He tried to claim the body for corruption, and instead, Moses is elevated into glory, standing beside the Messiah. And this raises a chilling thought. If Lucifer fought so hard for Moses' body, what does that tell us about the unseen battles raging around us today? If he wanted to twist the legacy of a prophet, don't you think he wants to twist your story too? He accuses, he claims, he fights for every weakness, every flaw, hoping to drag souls into his grasp. But just as Michael stood as defender, so too does heaven fight for those who belong to God. The authority that silenced Lucifer then is the same authority that silences him now. But think deeper. Why would such a scene be hidden, mentioned only in passing in Jude, preserved only in fragments? Perhaps because it reveals something dangerous, something too powerful for ordinary ears. That even in death, the faithful are not abandoned. That there are heavenly guardians who contend for us, who stand against the powers of darkness, even over our lifeless remains. And that terrifies Lucifer. He cannot win. He cannot claim what God has sealed. Imagine the other angels watching that confrontation. Imagine the terror in the ranks of the fallen. If Lucifer himself, the Prince of Darkness, was rebuked and silenced, what chance do his lesser demons stand? The moment Michael spoke, it was not just a rebuke against Lucifer. It was a declaration to the entire kingdom of darkness. Your claims are void. Your power is broken. Your accusations mean nothing before the authority of God. That's why ancient accounts describe angels trembling not at Lucifer, but at the sheer force of Michael's command, backed by heaven itself. And so the wilderness became a courtroom, a battlefield, and a holy ground all at once. Moses' body was secured, hidden by God, guarded by Michael, shielded from corruption. And Lucifer was forced to retreat, humiliated, his plan shattered. He had hoped to make Moses a symbol of idolatry. Instead, Moses became a symbol of God's victory. He had hoped to corrupt. Instead, God exalted. He had hoped to claim death. Instead, Moses would one day stand in life again. But here's the haunting question for you. If angels of such unimaginable power are warring over human souls, what does that say about the unseen war raging over your own life right now? Lucifer hasn't stopped accusing. He hasn't stopped claiming. But Michael hasn't stopped defending either. And the authority that rebuked Lucifer then still echoes across eternity. The Lord rebuke you. That is the ultimate power, the ultimate terror for the kingdom of darkness. So the next time you feel the weight of accusation, the whisper of your failures, remember the hidden battle over Moses. Remember that even in the silence of death, heaven does not let go. And remember that Michael, the warrior of God, still stands guard, still terrifies Lucifer, and still enforces the victory that cannot be undone.